The station was louder than usual. That alone should have warned everyone. Human Alien Research Station Helios normally stayed calm and quiet, filled with soft lights, steady hums, and polite voices from dozens of species trying very hard not to offend each other. But today, voices echoed down the long white corridor near the gravity lab, sharp and emotional, drawing curious looks from passing crew. "I can't sit," the voice snapped. "I can't stand either. Explain that." Dr. Aaron Miles froze mid-step, tablet still in his hand. He knew that voice. Everyone on the station did. Zalari of the Vesh Tal species was many things. Brilliant analyst, precise thinker, painfully honest. But quiet was not one of them. He turned toward the lab just as the doors slid open. Zalari stood there, or at least she tried to. Her long, flexible legs trembled as if they could not decide which direction gravity was pulling them. One hand gripped the doorframe, the other waved angrily at the room behind her. Her posture shifted every second, shoulders tightening, spine straightening, then bending again. Several humans inside the lab exchanged worried looks. Aaron moved forward carefully. "Zalari, maybe you should lie down." "I tried," she snapped, eyes narrowing. That was worse. She attempted to lower herself into a nearby chair. Halfway down, her body locked, muscles tensing all at once. She froze in a half-sitting position, eyes wide. "I can't finish the motion," she growled. "My body will not agree on anything." Two technicians rushed forward and gently helped her back to standing, though standing was generous. She looked like she was constantly adjusting, shifting weight, correcting balance that never settled. "What did you do to me?" she demanded. The room fell quiet. Aaron took a slow breath. "We followed the exact safety limits you approved." "That is impossible," Zalari said sharply. "My species does not experience this kind of internal conflict." She clenched her fists, then released them, then clenched them again as if her hands were arguing with each other. The device sat behind her in the center of the lab, silent now, a smooth ring of alloy and light, designed to adjust neurological responses to gravity. It was supposed to help fragile species function in higher gravity environments. Humans had adapted it slightly, tuning it for their own testing. Zalari had volunteered. At first, everything had gone perfectly. She had stepped into the ring, allowed the gentle field to wrap around her nervous system, and smiled with professional interest as data flowed across the screens. Her balance had improved, her reaction time sharpened. Her posture had straightened for exactly 43 seconds. Then she had tried to sit down. Aaron glanced at the display panels again, scanning numbers that made his stomach twist. "The readings say your muscles are responding faster than expected." "Faster," Zalari snapped. "They are responding all at once." She took a step forward and nearly stumbled, catching herself with a sharp hiss of irritation. "Every signal feels urgent, like my body believes it is falling even when it is not." One of the younger engineers whispered, "That's kind of normal." Zalari's head snapped toward him. "For who?" He swallowed. Humans. That word hung in the air. Zalari stared at them, eyes flicking from face to face. "You live like this?" Aaron hesitated. "Not exactly like this." The system amplified certain traits. "Traits?" she repeated. "This feels like constant correction, constant tension." She shifted again, spine straightening without her meaning to, legs bracing as if expecting impact. Sweat, unusual for her species, glistened along her temples. Aaron stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Zalari, the system was calibrated using human neurological baselines. It seems your nervous system synced to it very efficiently." "That is not comforting," she said flatly. The medical officer entered the lab carrying a portable scanner. "We should check for neural overload." As the scanner passed over Zalari's head and spine, the readings climbed but stayed within safe limits. That confused everyone even more. "There's no damage," the officer said slowly. "No injury. Her body is just very active." Zalari let out a short, humorless sound. Active is a gentle word. She closed her eyes for a moment, focusing. The effort showed on her face. When she opened them again, her voice was quieter, but tighter. "When I attempt to relax, my body responds as if that is dangerous." Aaron felt a strange knot form in his chest. "That's not the device malfunctioning?" She looked at him sharply. "Then what is it?" He hesitated. "How did you explain something you had never needed to put into words?" "The system is designed to reduce wasted motion and delay," he said carefully. "It removes inefficiencies." Zalari's brow furrowed. And humans have a lot of those." Silence followed. Zalari laughed once, sharply. "That is a joke." "No," Aaron said softly. "It isn't." He gestured toward the screens. "Human bodies are constantly compensating. Balance, posture, muscle tension. We adjust without thinking. Gravity is always pulling us slightly wrong. Our joints aren't perfect. Our reflexes fire early or late, so our nervous system stays busy." Zalari listened, still trembling slightly. "The device removed the delay between intention and response," he continued. "For you, that means every micro-adjustment is happening immediately." Her eyes widened. "So this chaos is your normal state?" "Less intense," he said. "But, yes, constantly." She tried to sit again, slowly this time, focusing on one movement at a time. Her legs shook, then locked, then finally allowed her to lower herself onto the chair. She froze there, breathing hard. "I feel like I am always about to fall," she said quietly. Aaron nodded. "Most humans feel that way their entire lives. We just stop noticing." She looked at him with something new in her expression. Not anger, not embarrassment, but confusion. "You designed technology to remove a burden," she said. "But for you, the burden is the baseline." That's one way to put it. Ixalari's fingers dug into the arms of the chair. "Turn it off." The technician moved quickly, deactivating the field completely. The change was immediate. Zalari sagged, muscles releasing all at once. She leaned back, breathing slowing, eyes fluttering as relief washed over her. After a few seconds, she sat up straighter, testing her limbs. "I feel slow," she said. Aaron blinked. "Slow?" "Yes." She flexed her fingers. "Delayed." "Weak." The room went very still. "That's how you feel all the time?" she asked. "No," Aaron said. "That's how you feel after borrowing our instincts." She stared at her hands for a long moment, then looked up at him. "I accused you of harming me," she said quietly. "But you did not?" He shrugged lightly. "You had a right to complain." Zalari shook her head.
"No, I misunderstood."
She stood again, this time without trouble, but she moved carefully, thoughtfully, as if reevaluating everything she knew about motion. "That system," she said slowly, "was not designed for strength." "No," Aaron agreed. "It was designed for survival." Around them, observers from other species had gathered, watching silently. Whispers spread. Data packets were already being transmitted beyond the station. Zalari straightened, pride returning to her posture, though something in her eyes had changed. "You will document this," she said. "Fully." Aaron nodded. "Of course," she paused, then added, "and next time I will sit down before activating human systems." One of the technicians snorted before he could stop himself. Zalari glanced at him, then surprised everyone by smiling, But somewhere deep inside the station's networks, alarms of a different kind were beginning to sound. Because the galaxy had just learned something unsettling. Humans did not endure harsh worlds because of superior technology. They endured because discomfort had never stopped them before. The news did not stay inside the station. Within hours, encrypted reports moved through diplomatic channels, research networks, and military oversight councils. The words were careful, but the meaning was not. Human baseline neurology had interacted with adaptive gravity technology in a way no one had predicted, not because of a flaw, because of compatibility. Zalari sat alone in the observation room, watching the slow spin of a distant gas giant through the wide window. Her body felt normal again, but her thoughts refused to settle. Every movement she made now felt different, as if she was noticing things she had never questioned before. How easily she balanced, how little effort it took to stay still. She remembered the feeling inside the field, the constant urgency, the way her muscles had never agreed to rest. She shuddered. The door slid open quietly. Aaron stepped in, holding 2 cups. He offered one, without speaking. She took it. "You did not tell them to watch me, did you?" Aaron followed her gaze. Several figures stood behind the transparent wall outside, pretending not to stare. No, but curiosity spreads faster than gravity. She made a dry sound that might have been laughter. "They think I broke." "No," he said. "They think you discovered something." That did not comfort her. "Your people live inside noise," she said, after a moment. "Not sound, internal noise. Name, Brass." Aaron leaned against the wall. "So humans exist in a partially restrained state," the representative said. "Always." "Yes," Aaron said. "That restraint keeps us comfortable." Silence settled, heavy and thoughtful. The director exhaled. "The council wishes to know if this effect can be replicated safely." Zalari felt something twist inside her. "Why?" The gray-uniformed observer answered. "Because environments across the galaxy are becoming more hostile. Gravity fluctuations, structural failures, combat zones." There it was. Aaron spoke quickly. "This technology was not designed as an enhancement." "No," the observer said. "It was designed to remove inefficiency." Humans appear to be built around inefficiency. Zalari flinched at the word. The director raised a hand. "We will proceed with controlled testing only. No weaponization. For now," the observer said quietly. Later, in the gravity lab, Zalari stood inside the inactive ring again. Her heart beat faster than she liked. "You don't have to do this," Aaron said. "I do," she replied. "Understanding requires experience." The medical team watched closely as the system powered up at a reduced level. Not full synchronization. Just enough. The field activated. Zalari gasped, not from pain, but from sudden awareness. The floor felt sharper beneath her feet. Her center of balance demanded attention. Her muscles tightened automatically. She raised one arm. It moved faster than she expected. "Status?" the medical officer asked. "I feel alert," she said. "Uncomfortably alert." She took a step forward. Perfectly controlled. Too controlled. "Increase by 5%, she said. Aaron's eyes widened. "Zalari, I consent." The field adjusted. Her breath quickened. Every joint felt ready, braced. Standing still became difficult. Her body wanted motion, correction, action. "This is how they walk?" she asked. "This is less than that," Aaron said. She swallowed.
"How do they sleep?" He hesitated. "Poorly." The observers watched without blinking.
Zalari performed simple tasks. Lifting weights, headings, weights, resets, ratifiaries, joy, navigating uneven platforms. Reacting to sudden shifts, her performance exceeded projections. When the system shut down again, she nearly collapsed from the contrast. That feeling, she said once she could speak, of relief when it ends. Aaron nodded.
We chase that feeling our whole lives.
The data spread faster this time. Simulation models updated. Tactical analysts asked quiet questions. Other species began submitting cautious requests. Could they try it? The answer was always the same. Carefully. Briefly, most could not tolerate even reduced levels. Their bodies rejected the constant demand. Humans, when tested under increased levels, showed stress, but not failure. They complained, they adapted, they kept going. Zilari watched a human technician complete a test run under conditions that made her chest tighten just watching. "You are in pain," she said to him afterward. He shrugged. "Yeah, but it's manageable." That word again. She realized something then that made her skin prickle. Humans did not measure capability by comfort. They measured it by whether they could continue. Another emergency drill was scheduled days later. Simulated gravity loss in one section of the station. The kind of test designed to reveal weaknesses. When the alarm sounded, species reacted as expected. Confusion. Disorientation. Floating bodies grasping for control. Humans reacted differently. They moved. Hands found rails. Feet hooked into edges. Bodies adjusted mid-motion without thought. Zilari activated the system on herself without being told. The world snapped into sharp focus. She moved like them. Together they stabilized the section, anchored equipment, guided others to safety. When it was over, the observers said nothing. They did not need to. Later, alone again, Zilari stared at her reflection in the darkened glass. "I accused them," she whispered to herself, "of doing something to me." The truth felt heavier. They had shown her what it meant to live without peace inside your own body, and still choose to act. The galaxy had long believed humans were reckless. Zilari now understood. They were practiced. And that realization was spreading. The change was not loud. There were no alarms, no emergency lights, no sudden orders shouted through the station. The change came quietly, through small things that only careful eyes noticed. Humans began to receive more requests. Not direct orders. Invitations. Surveys. Voluntary studies. Polite questions wrapped in official language. How long could they function under unstable gravity? How quickly did they recover from fatigue? What level of discomfort caused task failure? Zilari noticed the pattern before most others did. She stood in the observation corridor, watching a human maintenance team work along the outer hull. The gravity in that section was set deliberately uneven, part of a test that had been approved by 3 councils and protested by 2 medical boards. The humans complained openly as they worked. "This setting is awful," one said, bracing himself against a support beam. "My knees are going to hate me tomorrow," another replied, but they did not stop. Zilari folded her arms tightly against her chest. Her species would have halted the task immediately. Pain was a warning. Discomfort meant error. For humans, discomfort seemed to be background noise. Aaron joined her, helmet tucked under his arm. "You're staring again." "I am counting," she said. "Counting what?" "How many times they adjust without thinking." He watched quietly. "You're not wrong. They are being pushed," she said, gently, politely, but pushed. "Aaron did not deny it. The galaxy is nervous." "Because of us," she said. "Because of what we represent," he corrected. That was worse. Later that cycle, the station council met behind closed doors. Zalari was not officially invited, but as a senior analyst, she had access to summaries. What she read made her stomach tighten. Frontier worlds were failing. Gravity cores degrading. Old stations collapsing under stress they were never designed to handle. Species adapted to calm, stable environments were struggling. Humans were not thriving, not enjoying it, but surviving longer than expected.
They see you as a solution, Zalari said to Aaron when she confronted him in the lab. Not partners.
Tools. Aaron rubbed his temples. We volunteered. Did you understand what for? He hesitated. That was answer enough. The next test went too far. It was scheduled as a combined stress simulation, multiple gravity shifts, delayed response systems, environmental instability. Humans were informed it would be difficult. Zalari requested access to observe. The request was denied. That frightened her more than approval would have. She activated the human-calibrated system anyway, dialing it low, just enough to sharpen her senses. The familiar tension filled her body, sharp but controlled. She moved. Security tried to stop her. She slipped past them, muscles responding instantly, body correcting before mistakes could form. By the time she reached the simulation chamber, the test was already active. Inside, chaos reigned. Gravity fluctuated in uneven waves. Equipment floated, then slammed down. Species unused to instability clung to walls in panic. Humans were everywhere. They moved through the disorder, shouting warnings, anchoring objects, dragging others to safety. Their movements were not graceful. They collided, stumbled, cursed. But they adapted. Zalari's breath caught as she saw one human pinned under a shifting bulkhead, muscles straining, teeth clenched. "Help me get this off," he gasped. Another human joined him without hesitation. Zalari joined them too. Together, they lifted. The bulkhead moved just enough. The human crawled free, laughing weakly. That sucked. Zalari stared at him. You could have been crushed. "Yeah," he said, "but we weren't." The test ended seconds later. Medical teams rushed in. Injuries were logged, strains, bruises, nothing life-threatening. The observers arrived after. Their faces were calm. Too calm. "This was beyond approved parameters," Zalari said sharply. The lead observer looked at her. "And yet it succeeded. At what cost?" she demanded. The observer gestured to the humans being treated. Acceptable strain. That word again. Zalari felt something cold settle in her chest. Later, in the quiet of the medical wing, she watched humans rest. Some slept immediately, bodies shutting down the moment they were allowed. Others joked, even while wincing in pain. Aaron sat nearby, arm wrapped in a support brace. "You're angry," he said. "I am afraid," she replied. "Of what? That the galaxy will decide you are made for this?" He looked at her carefully. "We kind of are?" "No," she snapped. "You are capable of it. That is not the same thing." He was silent. Zalari continued, voice lower. "Your people adapted because they had no choice." "That does not mean you should be used as the standard," Aaron sighed. "Try telling that to a collapsing colony." She turned away, frustrated. That is how it begins. One emergency, then another. And suddenly, suffering becomes expectation. The next days proved her right. Requests increased, tests extended, rest periods shortened, humans complained more. They still complied. Zalari made her decision quietly. She gathered data, not performance metrics. Not endurance graphs. She gathered human words, casual remarks, jokes, offhand comments recorded during tests. "I'll push through. It hurts, but it's fine. Just need a break after." She compiled them into a report and sent it to the council with a simple title, Misinterpreted Signals. The response was slow. Too slow. Another emergency struck before policy could change. A real one. A station ring failure that sent gravity into violent oscillation. This time, no simulations. Zalari did not wait for permission. She activated the system to full human levels. The familiar storm filled her body. The urge to move, to correct, to act. She ran. Humans followed. Together they stabilized the failing systems, manually overriding controls that no longer responded. Zalari felt her muscles burn, nerves scream, thoughts sharpen to painful clarity. She understood now, not just how humans endured, but why. When the crisis ended, she collapsed against the wall, shaking. Aaron crouched beside her. "You okay?" She laughed weakly.
No.
He smiled.
Yeah, that tracks.
She looked at him, eyes fierce despite exhaustion. This cannot continue.
Agreed. She stood slowly, forcing her body to obey.
Then we make them understand. How? By showing them the part they keep ignoring. She deactivated the system. The sudden absence of tension almost made her fall. That relief, she said softly. That is not strength. That is survival ending. Aaron nodded slowly. Across the station, councils debated, observers calculated, and worlds waited for solutions. But something had shifted, because now someone outside humanity understood the truth. Humans were not fearless. They were simply used to going forward while afraid, and the galaxy was beginning to realize how dangerous it was to mistake endurance for willingness. The pushback did not begin with shouting. It began with silence. Humans started declining requests. Not all at once, not dramatically. One by one, forms went unanswered. Test slots stayed empty. Volunteers asked questions that did not have easy replies. How long will this last? What happens if we say no? Who decided this was acceptable? Zalari noticed the change immediately. She felt it in the station's rhythm, in the way humans moved more carefully through shared spaces, in the way conversations stopped when observers entered a room. She stood beside Aaron in the lab as another request arrived on his terminal. Extended gravity exposure, reduced rest interval, critical to ongoing research. He stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he closed it. "I'm done," he said. Zalari let out a breath she had been holding. Good. That same cycle, a human delegation formally requested a council hearing. Not a complaint, not a threat. A statement. The chamber was full again, but the mood had changed. Where there had once been curiosity, now there was tension. Where there had been confidence, now there was calculation. Aaron stood at the center this time, not as a scientist, but as a representative. Zalari stood beside him. "We are not fragile," Aaron said calmly. "We are not broken, and we are not tools." A murmur rippled through the chamber. "We volunteered because we believed this work mattered," he continued. "But volunteering does not mean unlimited access to our limits." One of the observers leaned forward. "Your limits appear to be far beyond the galactic norm." "That does not make them non-existent," Aaron replied. Zalari stepped forward. "You have mistaken tolerance for consent." Several representatives shifted uncomfortably. She continued, voice steady but sharp. "Humans complain because that is how they communicate strain. You heard noise and assumed stability." A council member raised a limb. "Are you suggesting we halt all testing?" "No," Zalari said. "I am suggesting you listen." The observer spoke again. "Frontier worlds are failing, if humans can endure." "They endure because they have to," she interrupted, "not because they should." Silence fell. Then a new alert interrupted the session. Not a drill. A deep space station near the outer colonies had lost gravity control entirely. Structural failure imminent, evacuation impossible. All eyes turned to the human delegation. The observer did not need to speak. Zalari felt her chest tighten. This was it. The moment everything would break or change. Aaron exhaled slowly. "Will help," the observer nodded, already standing. "Of course you will." Aaron held up a hand. "On our terms." That stopped them. "We choose who goes," he said. "We choose duration. And when we say stop, it stops." The council hesitated. Then the station director nodded once. Agreed. The response team launched within the hour. Zalari joined them. The failing station was chaos when they arrived. Gravity surged in violent pulses. Sections twisted under uneven stress. Alarms screamed without pause. Species unfamiliar with instability were trapped, clinging to failing structures, frozen by fear. Humans moved anyway. They anchored lines. They carried others. They braced collapsing walls with their own bodies until supports locked into place. Zalari activated the system again. Full human calibration. The storm hit her harder than ever before. Every nerve alive, every muscle burning. No rest. No quiet. She understood now why humans complained. She also understood why they still moved. A section collapsed unexpectedly. A human was thrown against the wall, gasping, struggling to breathe. Zalari reached him first, hauling debris away with strength she never should have had. "You're not okay," she said. He coughed, then laughed weakly. "I will be." "Whoa!" she said firmly. "You won't, and that matters." She signaled evacuation. This time, command listened. The mission ended early, not because humans failed, because they chose to stop. Back on Helios, the mood was different. No celebration, no praise, just quiet understanding. The council reconvened the next cycle. Zalari presented her final report in person. "This is not about strength," she said. "It is about cost." She showed recordings. Humans shaking with exhaustion. Joking through pain. Smiling because it was easier than explaining. "These are not signs of endless capacity," she said. "These are signs of adaptation under pressure." The observer finally looked unsettled. "If you continue," she concluded, "you will break something you cannot measure." The chamber was silent for a long time. Then the director spoke. "All human exclusive stress testing is suspended," the observer protested. "You cannot." "I can," the director said sharply, "and I will." Zalari felt something loosen in her chest. Later, she found Aaron in the observation corridor again, staring out at the stars. "You did it," he said.
We did it.
She corrected. He smiled faintly. "You okay?" She considered the question. "I will never be the same. Welcome to the club." She looked at him. "You are not weapons." He nodded. "We keep telling people that. But," she added softly, "you are dangerous." He glanced at her. "Because you endure," she said, "and the galaxy has learned to rely on that." Far away, reports spread. Policies shifted. Caution replaced excitement. But not everyone agreed. In the quiet halls beyond Helios, plans were still being written, and humanity had just learned something important too. Endurance did not mean silence, and survival did not mean surrender. The galaxy did not change overnight. Policies were written. Statements were released. Councils assured each other that new limits would be respected, that humans would be protected, that lessons had been learned. Zalari did not believe most of it. She stood in the central transit hall of Helios Station, watching humans move through their daily routines. They laughed. They argued. They carried equipment, leaned against walls, stretched stiff muscles without thinking. They looked the same. But something had shifted. Humans were watching now, not with fear, but with awareness. They noticed who asked for favors, who phrased requests as needs instead of choices, who flinched when humans said no. Aaron joined her, holding 2 drinks again, like he always did when words were difficult. "Traffic's lighter," he said. "Yes," Zalari replied. "They are being careful. For now." She nodded. The next test came from outside the station. A border coalition requested human assistance for a deep-core world whose gravity had spiked beyond safe limits. Entire cities were slowly collapsing inward. Local species could not operate machinery for more than minutes at a time. The request was polite, too polite. Zalari read it twice, then a third time. "They learned," she said quietly. "They are asking, not assuming." Aaron leaned back in his chair. And they are still asking humans to suffer so others do not." He was quiet for a moment. "That's not new." "No," she agreed. "But the answer can be." The human delegation gathered again, not in a council chamber, but in a shared space. No observers, no officials. Just people. Some wanted to help immediately. Others hesitated. A few were openly angry. "We can't save everyone," one said. "We can't pretend we don't know how," another replied. Aaron listened until the room settled. "We help," he said finally. "But not by proving how much we can endure." Zalari felt a spark of hope. The response they sent was different from any before. He stepped inside without turning it on. Her body felt calm, balanced. She missed the sharpness sometimes, the clarity, the terrible focus. But she did not miss the noise. Aaron appeared at the doorway. "Thinking, remembering," she said. "The first time I accused you." He smiled faintly. "You weren't wrong to ask?" "No," she said. "I was wrong about the answer." She turned to face him. "You did not change me." "What did?" "Understanding that strength without choice is just another kind of weakness." He considered that. "You sound like one of us." She smiled. "That worries me." They laughed quietly. Far beyond Helios, stories spread. Not about human strength, about human limits, about a species that complained, protested, argued, and refused to be silent, even while enduring conditions that would break others. The galaxy learned something important. Humans were not heroes because they suffered. They were dangerous because they remembered they did not have to. And when the galaxy finally understood that, humans stopped being tools. They became equals. That's one way to describe it. She turned toward him. "Why were you not surprised?" He considered the question. "We were surprised by the scale, not by the idea. That makes it worse." Before he could respond, the room lights dimmed slightly. An alert pulsed across the wall display. "Here it comes," Aaron muttered. The station director's voice filled the room, calm but tight. "All department heads report to conference." "Zalari, your presence is requested." She straightened. Of course it is. The conference chamber was full when they arrived. Representatives from multiple species sat in careful arrangements, their expressions ranging from curiosity to concern. At the far end, 3 figures stood apart from the rest, wearing neutral gray uniforms with no visible rank markings. Zalari noticed them immediately. "They are military," she whispered. Aaron nodded. "Observers?" The director gestured for Zalari to step forward. "Please explain your experience in your own words." Every eye turned toward her. She took a breath. The human-calibrated gravity adaptation system did not harm me. It synchronized too well. My nervous system accepted it, without resistance. Murmurs rippled through the room. When active, she continued, my body responded to every balance correction instantly. There was no delay, no smoothing.
No rest. One of the gray uniformed observers spoke. And you could not function?
Zalari met his gaze.
I functioned beyond my species' limits.
But it was overwhelming. Aaron saw several heads tilt at that. The observer nodded slowly. Overwhelming does not mean ineffective. No, she agreed. It does not. A different representative leaned forward. Dr. Miles stated this state is normal for humans. Aaron cleared his throat. Not exactly. Humans live with constant micro-corrections. The device removed the dampening that usually keeps it manageable. Humans would go. But not alone. They would bring training, adaptation methods, equipment redesigned for non-human bodies. The goal was not endurance. It was independence. The coalition hesitated, then agreed. The mission took weeks. Zalari went with them. On the surface of the deep core world, gravity pressed down like a living thing. Even humans moved slower here, breaths heavier, joints aching. Zalari activated the system only when necessary. She no longer chased the edge of human tolerance. She understood its cost now. Instead, she watched. Humans taught local engineers how to brace structures without fighting gravity directly, how to work in short bursts, how to accept discomfort without letting it control decisions. They complained constantly. They rested openly. They stopped when someone said stop. The locals watched, confused at first, then understanding. This hurts, one said during training. Yes, a human replied, but it won't always hurt this much. And if it does, then we change the plan. Zalari felt something settle inside her. When the mission ended, the world was not saved. But it was stable, and it no longer depended on human pain to function. Back on Helios, the galaxy reacted. Some praised humanity's restraint. Others were frustrated. A few were afraid. Those were the ones Zalari watched most closely. The final council session was not dramatic. No raised voices, no threats. Just a quiet acknowledgement. A representative spoke. Human endurance is not a resource. Another added, it is a trait. Zalari stepped forward, and like all traits, it must be respected, not exploited. The vote passed. Human biology was reclassified, not as enhanced, not as exceptional, but as incompatible with careless assumptions. Afterward, Zalari stood alone in the gravity lab one last time. The ring was inactive now, marked for restricted research only.